So hello again. Thank you very much for joining. I know your time is very precious, and I'm going to take this full, I'd say about 50 minutes and maybe 10 minutes of questions. But we will dive into the Mat Connect new features and also how to adapt the Mat Connect to a classroom and to students. So I'm going to go through a bit of a little presentation, a bit of a PowerPoint presentation before, and then we'll go through a live hands-on demo. So this is the summary of the webinar. We'll see a bit of a description of the Mat Connect, what it is. We'll talk about the lock clip that's available on the Mat Connect. We'll talk also about the different interfaces that are available, how to change interfaces, and the features and benefits of the Mat Connect, and a hands-on demo. Learning objectives for this webinar, so demonstrate at least 2 new features on the Mat Connect. Just recently, we just launched a new version of Prodigy, which is Prodigy 4.2. So there's a couple of new features on there that I'm going to demonstrate. Demonstrate at least 2 features that is useful to organize your work. Identify 2 ways to use the Mat Connect in a classroom environment. So the Mat Connect, if you already have one, you already know how it looks, but basically is an Android tablet that undocks or docks onto a base station. And the base station has polarized LEDs, which is on the right and on the left under the platform of the Mat Connect. There are 2 speakers also, and the tablet is docked on the stand, and that tablet has a nice 13 megapixel camera. It all folds up to a nicely compact format so that you can bring it with you. Your students can go from class to class with it and put it in a backpack or a bag and bring it home to do their homework or assignments. When it's opened up, you see here the surface of the tablet. Again, the clip which is in front, which will be another subject here in the next few slides. We'll talk about the clip. And the tablet just docks onto the stand, which we'll see in the live demo. And you have the possibility of putting your distance camera on the left or on the right-hand side of the stand. So when you first open up the box of the Mat Connect, you have one pager, which shows you a bit how to install the tablet with the clip. And the clip comes with a screwdriver and a screw. These are all the new Mat Connects out there. The old version did not have this clip, but all the new versions or all the new Mat Connects now come with this possibility. It's not, you don't have to put the screw in to start using your Mat Connect, but if you have young students that are always playing with the tablet and trying to undock the tablet all the time, and you're scared that they'll break the tablet if it drops on the floor or on the desk, then you can secure the tablet in the stand with this little screw and clip, which I'll show on the live demo, but just wanted to make sure that you see this page. So once you dock the tablet in the stand, you can screw in the little screw that's in the front of the stand of the clip. Once that screw is in, the clip on the top will not move anymore. So that's how the tablet sticks or stays on the stand. To unlock it, you have to unscrew the screw. The screw is recessed, so if you don't have a screwdriver, it's not easy to unscrew. So so hide the screwdriver so that students don't go and get the screwdriver and unscrew the screw by themselves. Now we have, last year we introduced some interfaces, different interface to adapt to students, moving along from young students to a bit older students and the much older students, where it starts off, the interface is very simple, and then we add some functionality to the interface, and then we go to the full-blown Mat Connect. So we're just going to go through them a bit here in the slides. But the first simple interface, really simple, you have a contrast button, a distance button to do distance viewing. There's no capture here, so you cannot capture any distance images or capture any document. It's only for live view, and you have the zoom in, zoom out button. So this is what it looks like. Once you start the Mat Connect and you have changed it to the simple interface, you have 4 circular buttons at the bottom of the screen, which is the button banner. And at the bottom here, the first one on the left is the contrast buttons. This button will change the contrast colors of the live camera. The second button, the circular button, is to access the distance camera. So once you press on that, you're brought to the distance application and you connect the distance camera. The distance camera, by the way, is a Wi-Fi camera. I'll show you how to connect to it. Basically, it's a wireless, so this is a pretty interesting feature because you can put the camera anywhere in the class and the student can sit anywhere also in the class and have it connected to the Mat Connect. And then you have the zoom out button, which is the button with the minus sign, and then the zoom in button, which is the last one on the right. So this is the most simple interface. So you have young students that don't need to access emails or go on the internet, or even have a need to do OCR on documents or take captures. Then this interface is really simple. This is where they learn how to write and read by themselves in live mode, and also use a distance camera to see at distance what's going on the board. The next level up of the user interfaces is another simple, but we've added the gallery and the OCR feature. So what we have here is a button to have a flattened gallery. So what I mean by that is that there's no options to create folders in there or organize the work. It's just a capture, and it's if you have 100 captures, it's going to be 100 captures in one shot. So you'll see all the 100 captures in there. There's no folders to organize all your work. You have a contrast button. You have the distance button with the option of taking, again, captures. And you have a capture button. Once the capture button is pressed, the OCR is done automatically and will be stored. The results will be stored in the gallery. And then you have the zoom in and the zoom out buttons. So what it looks like, this is what it looks like. We've added 2 more buttons to the interface. So instead of starting with the contrast buttons at the bottom here, we have 6 circular buttons at the bottom of the screen. The first one will be to access your gallery. The second one will be your contrast colors. This will loop through contrast colors that you've set. And then the third button is to access the distance camera. And then the fourth button is your capture button to take captures of a document. Again, this is only for single-page documents. You cannot have multi-page documents here. But as soon as the capture button is pressed, the OCR, or optical character recognition software, will start automatically and will detect all the characters on the picture and will store it with computer fonts. You have the zoom out button, which is a minus button, and then the plus button, which is the zoom in button. Then once your students get a bit older and they want to have access to the internet, emails, maybe share some information with colleagues, then you can switch to the full featured Mat Connect. This is what most of everybody know about this this interface. It was the standard interface when we launched the Mat Connect. But basically, you have the possibility of doing OCR on single and multi-page documents. You have a calculator, accessible calculator, which has a simple scientific and graphical interface, which we'll see. The graphical interface is brand new. We've just launched it at the beginning of September. You have access to books to connect to Bookshare. You have access to a full distance application to view at distance. You have access now to a notes application to take quick notes and organize all these notes. You have access to the APH application, which is a list of applications, pre-installed applications that are installed in production. And I'll go through them a bit in the live demo. I have an example to show you where I answered a question to a teacher on Facebook yesterday, and I'll show you a bit why we installed, or why APH decided to install a couple of applications for you to use. You have a full feature gallery. What I mean by that is that you can manage your gallery, so you can create all kinds of folders now. You can create up to 4 levels up in folders to have to organize all your captured documents, and you can create different kinds of folders which will classify them as books. Let's say you can import a PDF book, and that's all going to be stored in a folder which is called documents, and it's going to be shown in different ways, so saying that this is really a book that you've stored in that gallery. You have access to the internet connection, all the connection possibility, which Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. You can go check your emails, browse the internet, download some other applications through the Android store. If you want your students to use Microsoft Word, for example, or Microsoft Excel, they're all available on the Google Store, so you can download and start using them with your students. You don't have to use the Google Docs or the equivalent of Microsoft Excel in Google. You can use the real application. Some teachers ask me, can I have the full capability of Word, Microsoft Word? You have a subset of the Microsoft Word application in the Google Store available to you. So this is what it looks like a bit. In this picture, I have a black background, but basically you have big icons identifying all the applications that are installed. And this, what you see here is called Prodigy, and Prodigy is an application suite which has several applications installed, and they were made specifically for the visually impaired. So how do you change from interface to the other interface? It's pretty simple. If you're in one of these simple modes, you'll press and hold for approximately 5 seconds the contrast button, and then a menu will pop up. And the contrast button, depending on which mode you're in, will be the first or the second circular button at the bottom of the screen. That will bring you to a menu. But if, let's say, you're in the standard mode, then you can just go in the settings application in the advanced mode, and you'll see a big icon, settings, in Prodigy. You go into settings, and then you'll click the same thing here, select the settings, and then you select user interface, select the interface, so you tap on interface, and then you select the interface you want, and then you just go back and everything's done automatically for you. We'll go through this in the live webinar. This is just an overview with the PowerPoint presentation, and I'll share this PowerPoint with you guys after the webinar, so don't worry. If you have your Mac Connect in the live webinar, you can follow. You can try it out at the same time as I'm doing it. Features and benefits. The Mac Connect is very portable. Like I said, you can put it in a backpack. I'll show you how I carry mine when I go out on trips and show the Mac Connect. I'll show you how I carry it. It's 4 pounds, so it's kind of like a laptop weight. So it really fits in nicely in the bag. But also with the Mac Connect, when you buy the Mac Connect, you also have a carrying bag. It's kind of like a laptop bag that you can use. It's intelligent and connected. You can use a Mac Connect to connect to smart boards. You can use TeamViewer. People use Join.me, which I think now is not free anymore, but TeamViewer is free, and there's plenty of other applications that can be used to connect to smart boards. You can go access the email, the internet, download other applications. Full page capture. This is very important when you capture exercise examples, or you're passing around something for other students in the class that are not visually impaired, and you like the visually impaired students to be reading the same page. Then you can capture the full page and have the character recognition software go through it and have the characters changed to a computer font. The LEDs have polarized lens. what it does is that if you're using glossy paper, right now off my head, like magazines are very glossy, you can put a magazine underneath and there's not going to be any reflection from it. So somebody just told me that my voice is going in and out, so I'll maybe try to stop moving a bit. It's because maybe I'm moving too much here. Yeah, so LEDs have polarized lenses which prevent reflections. Kind of like if you're reading a magazine and you have glossy paper, it's gonna stop that reflection coming back to the screen, so that you don't have those white spots because of the LEDs or the lights. You can put on speech, so you can turn on or turn off speech, enable menus, and in the documents. You can capture a lot of images. There's a lot of memory on the tablet. And also you can customize the tablet or the Mac Connect for your students, depending on the levels there are. Or you can also customize all the advanced features. If you like to have the speech on all the time, you can do that. You can switch all the colors. There's all kinds of different settings. And these settings is to adapt to every student or every person that's going to use the device. Standard classroom platforms. So here I'm talking about the Google Drive, a lot of sharing applications that can be used, Gmail, again, the Word application or Excel application that can be used. So in the hands-on, in the live demo, what we'll see is we're going to go through all the user interfaces as I've explained them. We'll import a PDF. I'm going to show you how to import PDFs. So let's say you have a big book, but it's available in PDF. You can import that into Prodigy and then have access to that book inside Prodigy. You can also export, if you'd like, some documents out in PDF and then share that information with others. New features, I'm going to show you how to manage your gallery, how to create new folders, how to move your captured documents inside those new folders. I'll show you how to use the Notes application to have like a quick note application like Notepad or WordPad, just to take notes. How to connect to Wi-Fi. There's different types of Wi-Fi. I'll show you how to connect to Wi-Fi. I'll show you the distance application, how to use it, and all the bells and whistles in the distance application. And then I've kept the dessert there at the end. The graphing calculator, we've integrated the Desmos engine inside Prodigy. So now it's possible to use the calculator inside Prodigy to graph some functions. So that's our first version of this. I'm hoping that a lot of people are going to use it, and please feel free to give feedback on it, and we'll continue to improve it. So I'm just going to switch my camera on here, so we can go in a live mode. And right now you can see that I have my desk here with nothing on it. I'm just going to push this over here so that I don't stop the mic. But basically what I wanted to start with is this is how I travel with the Mac Connect. It's a backpack, standard backpack. I can open the backpack. It goes in through security, airports, and all that, so there's no problem with that. And then I have my Connect 12, my Mac Connect inside my backpack. I have also my distance viewing camera, which again is a wireless camera. It's a 10x optical camera, which I can carry inside my backpack. But like I said, when you buy or you get the Mac Connect, you have a carrying bag that's supplied with it. It's a kind of like a laptop bag that you can carry around with you. It's very nice also, but I like the backpack because I can put it on my shoulders. It's easier to carry. So once you have the Mac Connect out of the bag, it's folded up. It's nicely folded. There's a little handle that you can carry it anywhere you want to go. And how to unfold the Mac Connect is that you put a finger right here at the bottom plate and you just pull on the handle. And then that's the first step. You just unfold it. And then the second step is to pull on the screen or the tablet right here. And the power button is going to be on your right-hand side. If you feel the corner, there are two buttons. There's one for the power. That's the first one from the right. And then the second one is your volume button. So you can increase or decrease the volume. And on the right-hand side, you have all kinds of ports. They're a bit hard to identify at first, but once you get the hang of it, the order of the ports are, the first one at the bottom on the right-hand side will be the power port. So to charge your Mat Connect, you just plug it in there. That's the first port. Second port is your HDMI port. So I can use an HDMI, a micro HDMI to HDMI cable, and connect this to a projector or a big screen TV. So this is very useful. Let's say a student is doing a presentation, he can or she can undock the tablet and have a tablet in our hands and go through the presentation connected through your HDMI port. And then the next port is your audio port, so you can have headphones on there. You have right after that a USB port, and then just a bit higher up, you have a micro SD card port that you can use for extra memory. Okay, so if I turn it upside down, the base, again, as I showed it in my presentation, here I have my LEDs, 12 in all, 2 speakers, and the camera is right here on the top or the bottom, if you fold it up, at the bottom of the screen. And then the distance camera is mounted usually on an arm. You can unscrew the camera if you'd like to, and put it anywhere in the classroom. On the camera, there's a couple of buttons. There is a power button, there is a zoom in, zoom out, and there's a capture button. And there's also a little port on the side to recharge the distance camera. And there's a little door for the battery. And inside the door, written very, very, very small, there is a password to connect to your camera and the name of the camera. Because it's the same password for each camera, it's just the name that changes. So I'm just gonna close this here. I'm gonna put back my little arm. And then, like I said in the presentation, you have the choice of putting the distance camera on the right-hand side or the left-hand side. So let's put it on the right-hand side for me here. There we go. And let's power on the Mat Connect. So once I'm on, once you get it out the box, usually it's set to the advanced version of the Mat Connect. So let's say you have a young student and you want to modify the interface to go to the lowest level of interface. You scroll to settings, and then in the menu you select user interface. The first option on the top is interface, so you select that, and then you select on the list here, there's 3 options: advanced, standard, and basic. So you select basic, and then click on the back button on the top left corner of the screen. You're brought to the live image of my Mat Connect. And you can put something under there. You'll have the image on focus, and you have this display here that I showed you on the presentation. But basically, it's 4 circular buttons at the bottom. One, the first on the left, is the contrast button. If I tap on it, it's going to cycle through the colors that I have programmed. By default, it's black on white and white on black. And then the second button will bring you to the distance application. So to start my distance application, I prefer turning on my distance camera just by pressing the little power button on the top, and then clicking on the second button, sorry. And this is going to start the application, the distance application. And it's going to connect to the camera, Wi-Fi. And what's nice about this camera is that I can move it from left to right, up and down. And some devices don't do that. So it's very nice to have that option, because or else you're going to have to turn the whole device in order to see on the right or on the left. So this is a very nice feature. Inside the distance application, again, you have 4 buttons at the bottom, 4 circular buttons at the bottom of the screen. The first one is the back button. The second one is to toggle through my contrast colors, which I have programmed on there. And then the other two is to zoom in or out of the image. So I'm going to click back to come back to my magnifier or my live mode. And then here to finish, so I went on the second button. My third and the fourth button is my zoom out and zoom in. So if I press and hold in one of those buttons, it's going to zoom in or zoom out of the image. I can still do a pinch and zoom on the image if I'd like to, but the buttons work very nicely. If I'd like to, I can hide that the button banner that I have at the bottom just by swiping from up to down on the screen. The possibility. There we go. Just from up to down, it's going to hide that button banner for you, so you have access to the full screen of the Mat Connect. Now, there's a little question here on the chat. Our model doesn't have basic or advanced. That means that you have either simple or standard, and that means that you're not at the latest version for the Mat Connect. The latest version, you're going to have to connect to the Wi-Fi, and then you can go into settings, system, and software updates. I can go through that when I get to the advanced version, how to update your Mat Connect. We're just going to finish here all the levels. When you're using this this level, the most basic level, you can, if you want to, just solidify the clamp here or lock the clamp by taking a little screwdriver that comes with the Mat Connect and the little screw, and we can just screw this in the hole, and then my Mat Connect will stay there until I unscrew the screw. So I won't be able to unclip the clip here. To unlock it, I just unscrew the screw here, and once that's out, I can remove that screw up or down and then take out my tablet from the stand. So this is your basic interface. So for young students, this is ideal. You can rate underneath. You can, if you want, lock the autofocus or turn it back on to do manual tasks. So this is very useful for young students. If you want to change it to the next level up, again, you find the contrast button, which is the first button on the left in your live mode, and you press and hold on that button. And it's going to, a menu is going to pop up. You can select settings, user interface, interface, and then here you can select standard for the next level up. Once you've done that, you go back and you're brought to the live mode again. So you still have the same buttons that we had in the simple mode, but now we've added 2 buttons, the gallery button and the capture button. So to access the gallery, you press the first button on the left, which is your gallery button. This will bring you to a flattened gallery, which all the images are there in the root of the gallery. And there's buttons on the left and on the right. If you don't want to use your finger to pan, you can use those buttons to go right or left in the gallery. To go back, you click on the back button on the top left corner of the screen. It's a circular button on the top left. It's always there, the back button, to go back to where you were. Now to capture a document, we've added that button. It's the fourth button on the button banner. But what you want to do to have a full page, you bring it up, you bring the tablet up to about a 90-degree angle. You'll feel it a bit vibrate. That's going to tell you that you're fine, that you're good. And what I did on mine, if you notice, I've put some tape on the base to orient myself on where to place my page to get a full page. And then I'll do a zoom out once. When I do a zoom out, it's going to say full page, and I'm ready to take a full page capture. Once I'm ready, I just click on the capture button. It's going to take the capture. It's going to do the OCR, or the character recognition. And as soon as it's going to find text, it's going to flip it around for you to the right position. And it's going to save it automatically to the gallery. So if you want to come back to it later, you can come back to it in the gallery just by pressing the gallery button. But basically here I can use my pinch and zoom in, zoom out. And I can, if I want to start reading at a specific word, I can press and hold on that word, and it's going to start reading there. Right now the speech is at off. I can turn it on, or is it on already? Yeah, it's off. So I can turn it on if I want to. Yeah. And then I can use my button here, which is a play pause button, to pause the reading. Now in this button banner, in this view, the gallery button is the second button from the left, and you can click that to go to the gallery, and you'll see your image has been stored there for future references. I'm going to click back. Once I click back, it's going to come back to my live mode. So this is the standard interface. Now to change it to my most advanced interface, I press and hold the contrast button in my live mode image for approximately 5 seconds. Click on settings, user interface, and select advanced. And this is going to bring me back to the interface that we had previously. Now in this interface, I'll go through what we have here. But basically, if I scroll to the left, I have the APH application. I have the new notes application, which was available at the beginning of September. I have the distance application. I have a books application. I have a calculator application. If I swipe back to my magnifier and then go to the right, I have the gallery, settings, and the help application. Help application, this is where you'll have access to my YouTube capsules. It's going to bring you to the playlist. So I try to do some capsules every now and then on new features that were added to the Mat Connect. So that those are very useful. Settings, this is where you can set all your parameters that you want on the Mat Connect. And I'm just going to go here in gallery to show you how to organize your work in the gallery application. So the gallery, this is where I have all my captured documents or my books. And there's usually there's two folders that are there automatically. Is the distance folder and the text folder. Text folder is there to copy and paste some text. And then once you have copied your text, let's say in a web browser, you come back to that and you can paste it there, and it's going to put the text in a computer format, and you'll be able to read it using Prodigy. Distance folder will store all your distance images. So if I click on that, I have only one here, but it's going to store all your distance images. And then all the other captures that I've taken, like the first one here, which is the name of that first one is which, is always the first word on the top of the document. That's how it's going to name that document. But basically, this is the document that we've taken in the other interfaces. So it's there in the root. If I want to, I can do stuff on this captured document by pressing and holding that document. And there's a menu for you, an action to do on this captured on this capture. You can share the captured image using PDF, Gmail, Google Drive. You can move it. If you select the move, you can move it anywhere else in the gallery where you've created some new folders. You can delete the captured document. You can rename it, or you can export it. The difference between export and share, export will export the file onto your tablet and will not share it. But the share option, you'll have the option of sharing that information using a third-party application like Gmail, Google Drive, whatever application you'd like to use to share. But in this case, what I want to do, I want to rename my document here. So I'm going to click on rename. The keyboard will pop up, a virtual keyboard. If you're using a Bluetooth keyboard, I have one that we sell here at Humanware, but you can use any Bluetooth keyboard. You won't have all the functions that are available on this one. But basically, if you have a Bluetooth keyboard connected, the virtual keyboard won't pop up. But basically what you can do is change the name of this, and I'll call it test 1. And I can have a variety of characters here. I can have upper or lowercase characters. I can have number signs on here. And then once you finish, you press a check mark on the keyboard, and it has been renamed. Now, if I want to create a new folder in Prodigy, a folder is called a category. The reason why we called it a category is just easier when we want to categorize our information. That's the vocabulary that we used here when we designed this. But basically, to do that, there is a button on the top right corner, which is a settings menu on the top right corner of the screen. You click on that, there's several options that will appear. In here, you have create new category, create a new page, or create a new document. So the create new category is like a folder, so you can store anything you want there. Create new page is going to create a new blank page, like a canvas, blank canvas for you. If you want to have a separator, or if you want to have something to separate two information, or you want to have just a blank page to take some notes, you can do that here. Create a new document. This will create a special type of folder which you can store all the pages of that document, like a book. And you can delete the whole gallery content. But here in my case, what I want to do, I want to create a new category, and I will name it level 1. So I created my folder, level 1, and if I browse to my text that I've captured previously, I can press and hold that text. Again, in the action menu that's going to pop up, you can select move, and then you have the option of creating a new category there, or move it to my level 1 that I just created. So I can move it to my level 1. So if I go back to my level 1, I can go in there, and my document's there now. If I want to create some more folders inside my level 1 folder, I can do that. And again, it's the same procedure as I showed you. You can click the settings menu on the top right corner of the screen, create new category, level 2, level 2, and it's going to create a folder level 2 for you. I can go in level 2 and create some more folders, and you can go up to 4 levels up. I just want to hear just a side note. I'm reading all the questions in the chat. I'll try to answer them a bit later on the webinar, but if I don't have a chance on answering it live, I will take the responsibility of answering it through email with you offline. So please continue on typing your questions. If we have time, we'll go through the question, or else I'll respond to your questioning by email afterwards. So yes, so you can create up to 4 levels up in the gallery. So this is how you can create folders and organize all your information, your schoolwork. You can organize there in your gallery. Now I'm going to go to my notes application, which is brand new. Notes application is kind of like a notepad. There's 2 buttons when the notes application is empty. There's 2 buttons, one on the left, one on the right. If you click the plus button, which is a circular button on the top right corner of the screen, it will ask you to create either a new gallery, a new category, or a new note. So here, I'm going to create a new note. And it's going to create a new page, blank page for me. And then I can use my annotation from Prodigy, click on the pencil, and start writing, either with my finger. I can use any stylus, any normal stylus, not active stylus, not with batteries or things like that, but just like a rubber one can do the job. I have one here, which is a mesh one, can do the job also. So you can start writing a handwriting note here. If I want to, I can zoom out or zoom in and then take notes, and all the writing will be adjusted for that for you. But what I find very quick and useful is when I have a Bluetooth keyboard connected to the Mat Connect. I'm going to turn this one on here. But I can take notes using the keyboard. So if I just click on the second button and loop through the options, the option T will be used for your keyboard. So to do that, once I'm on T, I can press and hold wherever I want to take my notes, and I can start writing my note on here, and it's going to wrap for me on my notes. Once I'm done taking all my notes, I can send it over to my document by clicking the button on the top right, which is a paper airplane, and it's there. So I can highlight that, I can move it around, I can zoom in or zoom out on my note, and then place it where I'd like to on my page. And then once I'm finished, just click anywhere on the page, and it already saved it. Once you do back, it's automatically saved inside my gallery, so I can refer to them afterwards. I said my gallery, but it's going to be saved in my notes application here because this is a new note. And then here, I can also create new folders by clicking the plus button, create a new category. And again, I have my Bluetooth keyboard connected, and I will say LV1, return. I can create a folder, move my note to that folder, and then this is how I can classify or manage all my new notes, today's notes, yesterday's notes, and have all that done for you and organized for you in the notes application. So this is a notes application. I hope it's going to be useful for some students. The APH application, I just want to show you one example here. If I go in there, there's pre-installed applications on here. You even have Word and Excel and PowerPoint on there pre-installed for you that are ready to use. You can click on that, and the application is going to start for you. But here I want to show you here Lockdown Pro. Lockdown Pro is to lock down some specific applications with a password. So here you'll see a list of all the applications that are installed on the device, and you can say any application here. Let's say I want to block Facebook. I can select that, and it's going to be blocked. So each time that the student is going to try to go Facebook, it's going to ask for a password. And the only time that he or she's going to get the password is if the teacher is going to enter the password for them. This was one of the questions that I had on Facebook yesterday, which I wanted to show you that this is possible to log down a specific application. Let's say a student is playing games during the course, during the lecture. You can log down all the games, and then you can log down the Play Store. So then the student won't be able to download any more applications from the bookstore or the Play Store. So this is an interesting application that is available in the APH application. Distance application very quickly, because I'm seeing the time fly by here. I'm going to turn on my, now it's going to show me that my camera is not connected. I just turned it on here. It should connect to it. Once it's connected, the possibilities here on the distance viewing camera right now with the new version, it's full screen. I can hide my button banner just by swiping down from top down. You can hide that to view at distance full screen. There's a little arrow on the left, middle left of the screen. You can click on that, and it's gonna separate the screen. The bottom part is gonna be your magnifier, which is going to be your near viewing, which is my live mode here, which I can take notes if I want to. And my top part is going to be my distance viewing. And if I want to select either one, there's a big red rectangle on the one that's selected. Right now I'm selecting on the distance, but if I tap on the bottom part, the red rectangle is going to move to the bottom part. And if I want to go, let's say, to the distance, I select that, tap on it again, and I'm back to my distance. I could have done the same thing for my magnifier. And I can use a swipe gesture from left to right to switch to my magnifier, take down notes or read something live. And again, from left to right to go back to my distance. So very quick shortcut. So I have an interesting question here. Are the level 1, 2, 3, and 4 like drawers in a file cabinet? And then there would be folders in each level. That's exactly it. It's kind of like drawers in a cabinet, and then you can put other drawers inside those drawers. So you can have up to 4 levels up. It's kind of like your file explorer on Microsoft Windows. So this is the distance application, very quickly, very useful. Books application, I'm going to come back to that. But I want to show you the calculator application with the new graphing option. When you get the Mat Connect out of the box, it's set to a simple calculator where you can do subtraction, additions, multiplication, divisions. But if you want to have scientific functions or even graphing functions, what you do is that you click on the second button on the top left corner, which is the gear button, a circular button, which is a settings button. And then you select mode. And then you have 3 modes. Standard, which is, this is where we're at right now. There's a checkbox on the right-hand side of the screen. You can select scientific. This is going to add all the scientific functions without the graphing options. It's just going to give you numerical values. And then graphing options. If you select that, graphing options, and then you go back to your calculator, it looks really the same, but you have new buttons here. You have an XY, you have a switch button, which is a 2-arrow button at the bottom left corner of the keypad, and you have a graph button that you can use. So let's say I want to graph sine X or Y equals sine X. So I'm going to click on the Y button on my calculator, and then I'm going to switch. Sorry, I forgot the equal sign. And then I'm going to switch to my functions table, and here I have several functions. I have the trigo functions, which I have the inverse functions, all the inverse sine and cosine or tans, or I have the hypo functions, or I just have the standard trigonometry functions. So I'm going to choose here sine, and then it already put my bracket in there. And then I'm going to switch again to use my X, switch again to use my parenthesis, and then I'm going to say graph. And this is going to start the Desmos API or engine, and it will graph the function for you. So this is a sine wave that I've graphed, and on here there's still the same buttons at the bottom. You can hide that button banner by doing a swipe down. And then I can use my finger to go on the curve and identify some points on the curve. And in the button banner, I have a zoom in or zoom out, which the zoom in and zoom out really are going to change the scale of my X and my Y axis. It's not going to magnify the numbers, but it's going to change the scale. So I'm going to see more or less of that function. I have a question. Can you lock the device on the calculator? You can't lock the device on the calculator application, but you can lock it on the graphing part of the calculator, like I just did. But if you, let's say you're doing an exam. This is an interesting question, by the way. Let's say you want to have students taking exams using the Mat Connect. What you do, you don't want them to go into Android, because you can go into Android anytime you want by doing a 5-finger press and hold, and you're down into the Android guts. And you have all the applications here installed. You can have access to the Play Store and whatsoever. So this is an Android system. Let's say you don't want the student to access the internet, because right now you can't access the Chrome application on here. What you do, you go into the Magnifier, and again, don't show this to the students. So if there's students logged in right now, please turn off your speakers. But what you do is that you go into Magnifier and press and hold 2 buttons at the same time, which is going to be the back button and the capture button. Press them for almost 10 seconds. And then together, right? So, and then you're going to be brought to a configurator menu. And at the bottom there, it says disable exit to Android. So that is going to disable the press and hold 5 fingers, and it's going to take out the options in the settings to exit to Android. So to do that, you just tap on the disable exit to Android, come back to my Magnifier. And now if I use my press and hold, my 5 fingers, I'm not able to get out of Prodigy. So I'm stuck in the Prodigy environment. I can't go out to Android. So that's an interesting feature that was just added in the latest version. Okay. So I got about 5 minutes before we hit that 1 hour mark. And the books application is really an interface that we've made to connect to Bookshare. We've fixed a couple of issues that were with the books application. Certain books weren't opening with the application, so we tried to fix as much as we knew that the books weren't able to open. This is going to be evolving in the future, so be expecting more things coming for the books application. The feedback I'm getting from this is that it's a very good interface to search books when it works. So we're trying to get the tweaks out and all the little bugs and issues that we're having with the books application out. But basically, the main question that teachers have for me on the books application is that how can I use my educational accounts and share books with my students? So now I'm a teacher. Let's say I'm a teacher and I have an educational account. I can log into my Bookshare account using an internet browser, your PC, not on the Mac Connect, but use your PC or something else to connect to your Bookshare account and then share the books to the specific, or create your users, create your students in there, and then create your list of books that you want to share with the users. And the only problem that we have right now with the books application is that that list won't be shared to the student, but if the student enters the ISBN or the title of the book, they will see it. They will not have the full list available for them, but if they type in the specific ISBN or the title, they'll have access to that book. So we're trying to fix that, but you still have access to share books with the students, but you'll have to mark down either the titles or the ISBN. I like working with the ISBN. ISBN is the number of the book. It's easy to mark down and to use and to search. So once you have that ISBN number, you can search books once connected to your Bookshare account, and then you can search by ISBN, and then you can enter the number here, and you'll have access to the book. The student will have access to the book. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of questions in the chat. This is very good. I love this interaction. I'm going to see if I can answer a couple before we wrap this up. There was one question here. Can we use the Read2Go app to access book? You can use, if it's on Android, you can use any app that's available on the Android store. You can install it. And one interesting thing that you can do with the APH application, if you go back to my main menu here, APH application, I can, by clicking on the top right corner, the settings button, choose an application which is installed on my tablet and add it to my list. So let's say I have a easy reader application installed. I can choose an application and I have a list of all the applications that are installed on my device here, and I can select any application. So let's say I want to add a file explorer here. I can click on that. A checkbox is going to appear on the right hand side, and then I'll go back here, and once my list refreshes, I have access to my application inside my APH application. So this is very interesting. If you want to use other applications in Android, you can add them to Prodigy. Now, if you add, let's say, Chrome, and you want your students to use the Mac Connect for exams, don't forget to remove the Chrome application from this list. And you can do that again by going into Settings, Organize Applications. This is where you can organize the application's order, or you can choose application and then go on here, and then let's say I don't want to have ball tap, just click on that, and then the checkbox will disappear and it won't show up in my list. Okay, so in books with the Mac Connect, takes the place of needing Dolphin Easy Reader or other programs. Exactly. So you don't need any other applications. If everything works and you can get all your books through the books application, that's no problem. It goes in and connects to the Bookshare servers and downloads all the books that you want or access all the books that you search for. And the only thing right now is that it doesn't show pictures in the books, but that's coming. Yeah, so it's going to show the book in all the pages in column format. Please share how to update the Mac Connect. Absolutely, this is a very good question. I said I was going to go through this. When you get your Mac Connect, usually if it's connected to Wi-Fi, and again, this is how you connect to Wi-Fi. Go into Prodigy, Settings. In the menu, you select System, and in System, you have Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Software Update. So to connect to a Wi-Fi, click on Wi-Fi, and on here, if Wi-Fi is off, you'll have one option, and it's going to be Wi-Fi off. Turn it on by tapping it, and then you'll have access to Wi-Fi networks. And this is all the networks that are available. So now there's two types of Wi-Fi connections that you can get. Either a general Wi-Fi connection with no firewall or things like that, or there's another Wi-Fi connection that most schools use, and that's a proxy connection type Wi-Fi or server. And you can do that here. So by selecting the right network, click on it, you have connect. So if it's a general purpose Wi-Fi, you can select connect and it's going to ask you for your password and you're connected fine. But if you want to connect to a proxy server, you can do this with your IT department if you're not, if you don't know if it's too technical for you. But basically, I also have capsules on YouTube on the Humanware playlist website, YouTube playlist. You can go on there and I have a capsule on how to connect a proxy connection. But you go to Advanced Options, select Proxy, and you have several types of proxy connections. A manual connection where you're going to decide the host name. The host name is the server name, so it's either an IP address or a name of the server, all depending on how the IT guys configured the network. And then a proxy port, which is a number of the port that has been opened for that server. So again, I would suggest to go with the IT department for that because they'll have that information. And also, if you need any information on what to open, what kind of addresses to open for the firewall, either you can contact me directly, which I'm going to show you my email address, or you can connect customer support, and they'll give you the addresses that you need to have access to through the firewall. So once you're connected to the Wi-Fi, which I am right now, if there's a new update, we send out updates and you'll get it eventually. What I mean by that is that if the unit is on for 7 days, it's going to check every 7 days if there's an update, and then you'll get a notification to asking you to update. But if you didn't get that notification and you want to update it manually, go to System, Prodigy System, so Prodigy Settings, Systems, and then tap on Software Update. Now, sometimes your software is up to date. This is my case, but you'll get some kind of message sometimes, which is our generic message, can't connect to server. These are all the engineers that came up with the brilliant names for errors, but can't connect to server can be really anything. So just try it once or twice more, and usually it passes. If you have the right information on the firewall and you connect it correctly to the Wi-Fi, you should be able to update, and you just install all the updates and you follow the indication on the screen. So we just hit the 1 hour mark. So what I'm going to do right now, so please pay attention, because I'm going to share with you two information. One is going to be a link, which I'm going to type in right now in the chat. And that's going to be available to everybody here. And there's going to be a link to a survey, sorry. So to evaluate my performance on this nice webinar, I hope you're going to mark it all high. And then I also added an email, which is outreach@aph.org. And what I'm going to ask you to do is, I'm going to show you my next slide here, is that to get your credits for the ACV REP, the 1 hour credit, you're going to have to email at that address, outreach@aph.org, the opening and the closing codes. So I've told you the opening code, and I'm just going to stop the recording right now so that I can share with you the closing code.